Today we continue our reading of Liber and we talk about the altar in Magick. What does the altar represent in ceremonial magic? And today we continue our reading of the occult classics. We are reading Liber or Book 4, and I'm going to provide a link, a monetized link. If you want to buy a copy, it helps to monetize my content, and also gives free information for everyone that wants to study these topics at home. And to monetize my content and also buy a book on Amazon, I'll provide a link. Chapter 3, the altar. And this is like 800 pages and something. How many pages is this book? It's it's about 800 pages. Chock full of information. So chapter 3, the altar. And just look at how beautiful, this is. That's the magical layman of Crowley. So the altar. The altar represents the solid basis of the work, the fixed will of the magician. So let me read that again. The altar represents the solid basis of the work. The altar represents the solid basis of the work, the fixed will of the magician, and the law under which he works. Within this altar, everything is kept, since everything is subject to law, except the lamp. The footnote says, it represents the extension of will. Will is the dyad. See the section on the wand. The will is the dyad. See the section on the wand. 2 times 2 is 4. So it's 2 squared. So 2, which is the will, or holkama, the wand, the will, squared. 2 times 2. 2 squared is 4. So the altar represents the extension of will. Will is the dyad. See the section on the wand. 2 times 2 is 4. So the altar is 4 square, and also its 10 squares show 4. Remember that 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 equals 10. So it's the manifestation of that will or fiery energy. So, chapter 3, the altar. The altar represents the solid basis of the work, the fixed will of the magician, and the law under which he works. Within this altar, everything is kept, since everything is subject to law, except the lamp. According to some authorities, the altar should be made of oak to represent the stubbornness and rigidity of law. Others would make it of acacia, for acacia is the symbol of resurrection. The altar is a double cube, which is a rough way of symbolizing the great work. For the doubling of the cube, like the squaring of the circle, was one of the great problems of antiquity. The surface of this altar is composed of 10 squares. The top is Keter, and the bottom is Malkut. The height of the altar is equal to the height above the ground of the navel of the magician, so the belly button. So the height of the altar is equal to the height above the ground of the navel of the magician. The altar is connected to the Ark of the Covenant. Remember, it has all the items within it, other than the lamp, representing that all the magician's items are subject to law. So, like everything is kept in the altar is connected with the Ark of the Covenant, which within it was the rod of Aaron. The Ark of the Covenant, Noah's Ark, the nave, navis, a ship, of the church, and many other symbols of antiquity, whose symbolism has been well worked out in an anonymous book called The Canon, which should be studied carefully before constructing the altar. Interesting. For this altar must embody the magician's knowledge of the laws of nature. So this altar must embody the magician's knowledge of the laws of nature. which are the laws through which he works. He should endeavor to make geometrical constructions to symbolize cosmic measurements. For example, he may take the two diagonals as, say, the diagonal of the sun, S-U-N. Then the side of the altar will be found to have a length equal to some other cosmic measure. A vesica drawn on the side some other. A rude cross within the vesica yet another. Each magician should work out for his own system of symbolism. And he should not confine himself to cosmic measurements. He might, for example, find some relation to express the law of inverse squares. The top of the altar shall be covered with gold. So the top of the altar shall be covered with gold. And on this gold should be engraved some such figure as the Holy Oblation, of which we give illustrations. No, the Holy Oblation or the New Jerusalem. Or, if you have the skill, the microcosm of Vitruvius, of which we give illustrations. So these are the designs on the altar. By the way, I'll show the designs here. These are examples for altar, the tops of the altar. So the magician is expected to construct his or her own altar. So these are examples for the tops of altars. So, of course, symbolic of cosmic principles. This is the first one he mentioned, the Holy Oblation. Okay, this is one example of the top of an altar. The Holy Oblation. Okay, and then this is what he is calling the New Jerusalem. Look at that. Looks a lot like the Universe card, doesn't it? Yeah, looks kind of like the Universe card with the vesica and the four living creatures. Okay. Here we have the Vitruvian man. That's a symbol of an altar. Represents that man is in the microcosm of the divine. And here is yet another form. So these are the potential like heads of altars that he's describing. Okay. And by the way, those are just the tops of the altar. Here's an example of the sides of an altar. It's based on John D. So getting into a little ceremonial magic. As you see, it's a double cube altar. So this is the altar of the ceremonial magician. Okay, so back to this. He or she should endeavor to make, the top of the altar shall be covered with gold, and on this gold should be engraved some such figure as the Holy Oblation, or the New Jerusalem, or if he had the skill, the microcosm of Vitruvius, of which we give illustrations. So those are examples of altar tops. They represent cosmic principles, and on the sides of the altar are also sometimes drawn the great tablets of the elements and of the sigils of the holy elemental kings. So these are the sides of the altar according to the elements here. On the sides of the altar are also sometimes drawn the great tablets of the elements and the sigils of the holy elemental kings, as shown in the Equinox 1:7. For these are syntheses of the forces of nature, yet these are rather special than general symbols, and this book purports to treat only of the grand principles of working. This book only purports to speak of the grand principles of working. Yeah, so here we go. And all right, so that is it for that chapter. And then tomorrow we are going to pick up with the scourge, the dagger, and the chain. Okay, so that is just a very quick reading. And on YouTube, I have these as a playlist. Here on Facebook, I'm putting this live on Facebook. Here on Facebook, I'm going to put a link to my YouTube channel. If you go to my channel, or if you're watching this on YouTube, go to my channel page and go to playlists, and you'll see the Liber ABBA playlist. And you'll see that, you can go through it point by point. In fact, I think I'm going to add the playlist to the description. So, all right. So that is today's reading of Magick, okay? Book 4, or Liber ABBA. So, and I will see y'all in the next video. Look how cool that is. That layman. Okay, layman of Aleister Crowley. So, anyways, one of those classical texts here. And that is the personal layman used by Aleister Crowley. And we will continue in the next reading. So this is getting people, introduced to these classics, books that they probably would never read without these many people. And, and it's a lot to go through. And we have undertaken this work together. I will see y'all in the next video. Thanks for tuning in, y'all.